My boyfriend of 9 years left me for a better woman his family chose. 3 years later, he's losing it, seeing me happy with my successful business and my soulmate. Buckle up, Reddit. This is a long one, but I promise it's worth it. Names have been changed for obvious reasons. 3 years ago, my world imploded in the most spectacular way possible. My boyfriend of 9 years, Marcus, decided I wasn't good enough for his precious family anymore. After nearly a decade together, through college, starting careers, and building what I thought was our life together, he sat me down and delivered the most devastating speech of my life. "Sarah, you know I love you," he started, which should have been my first red flag because conversations that start like that never end well. "But my family has concerns. They think we're not compatible, long-term compatible." After 9 years. After I'd spent countless holidays with his family, helped his younger sister with her college applications, and celebrated every milestone with them. After I'd moved across the country for his job opportunity, leaving my own support system behind. But here's the kicker. They already had someone in mind. Enter Victoria, the daughter of his father's business partner. She was everything I apparently wasn't. Came from money, had the right connections, spoke 3 languages, had a master's degree from an Ivy League school, and, most importantly, could elevate the family's social standing. Marcus, the spineless wonder, went along with it entirely. He told me he realized we wanted different things, that Victoria challenged him intellectually in ways I never could. Looking back, I realized this was his cowardly way of saying his family had convinced him I wasn't prestigious enough for their precious bloodline. The breakup was swift and brutal. Within 2 months, Marcus was Instagram official with Victoria. Within 6 months, they were engaged. I watched from the sidelines as my entire life plan crumbled. We had talked about marriage, kids, buying a house. I'd even helped him pick out rings online, thinking he was going to propose to me. The worst part? His family acted like I'd never existed. His mother, who used to call me her second daughter, completely ghosted me. His sister, whom I'd mentored through her teenage years, blocked me on everything. It was like 9 years of my life had been erased. I was devastated, completely broken. I spent the first 3 months basically surviving on ice cream and Netflix, crying myself to sleep most nights. My friends back home kept telling me to move back, that staying in the same city as Marcus was just torturing myself. But something stubborn in me refused to run away. Instead, I got angry, really, really angry. I'd always been interested in sustainable fashion. And during our relationship, I'd started a small online shop selling upcycled vintage clothes as a side hustle. Marcus had been supportive but dismissive, calling it my little hobby and suggesting I focus on my real career in marketing. His family was even less impressed. His mother once asked when I was going to grow out of playing dress-up. Well, guess what? That little hobby became my lifeline. I threw myself into the business with everything I had. I used my marketing background to build a brand story, leveraged social media like my life depended on it, and connected with local artisans and sustainable fabric suppliers. I reinvested every penny back into the business, working 16-hour days, learning about supply chains, manufacturing, and international shipping. The timing was perfect. Sustainable fashion was having a moment, and I managed to catch the wave. Within a year, I'd gone from making a few $100s a month to pulling in 5 figures. By year 2, I was able to quit my marketing job and focus on the business full-time. The real game changer came when a major fashion blogger discovered my work and did a feature on emerging sustainable brands. That single post changed everything. Orders started pouring in faster than I could fulfill them. I had to hire employees, rent a proper workspace, and establish relationships with manufacturers who could scale with my growth. 3 years later, my little hobby is now a multi-million-dollar business with 50 employees and international distribution. We've been featured in Vogue, won sustainability awards, and I've been invited to speak at fashion industry conferences. Last month, I was named one of Forbes' 30 under 30 in retail and e-commerce. Oh, and remember how I mentioned finding my soulmate? Meet David. I literally bumped into him at a coffee shop about 18 months ago. Classic meet-cute situation where I was juggling too many things and spilled my latte all over his laptop. I was mortified. He was incredibly gracious about it, and somehow we ended up talking for 3 hours. David is everything Marcus never was. He's genuinely supportive of my ambitions, celebrates my successes without feeling threatened, and treats me like an equal partner in every sense. He's a software engineer who started his own tech consulting firm, so he understands the entrepreneur grind. More importantly, he loves me for exactly who I am, not who his family thinks I should be. We moved in together 6 months ago, and I've never been happier. David proposed last month with a ring he designed himself, incorporating sustainable stones because he knows how important environmental responsibility is to me. The proposal was intimate, personal, and everything I'd ever wanted. Just the two of us on a hiking trail we love, with no pressure from family or social expectations. Now, here's where it gets interesting. About a year ago, Marcus started following my business Instagram account, then my personal account. Then he started showing up at industry events where he knew I'd be. At first, I thought it was coincidence, but the pattern became obvious. His marriage to Victoria, from what I can gather through mutual friends and a bit of social media detective work, is not going well. Turns out marrying someone because they look good on paper doesn't guarantee happiness. Who could have predicted that? Victoria, for all her accomplishments, apparently has some pretty strong opinions about traditional gender roles. She expected Marcus to provide the lifestyle she was accustomed to, while she focused on charity work and social climbing. Problem is, Marcus's career in finance, while stable, doesn't generate the kind of money needed to support the lifestyle Victoria's family modeled. They've been fighting about money, his career ambitions, and starting a family. From what I heard through the grapevine, Victoria has been pushing Marcus to ask his father for a position in the family business. But Marcus has resisted because he knows he'd basically be his dad's employee forever. Meanwhile, here I am thriving in every possible way. My business success has been very public. Interviews, awards, social media presence. I'm not showing off maliciously, but I'm also not hiding my achievements. Why should I? A few months ago, Marcus started getting more direct. He began commenting on my posts, liking old photos, and sending DMs that started as, "Congratulations on your success," and gradually became more personal. I mostly ignored them, but David and I would laugh about how transparent he was being. Then last month, things escalated. Marcus showed up at my office, just walked right in and asked the receptionist to see me. When I came out to the lobby and saw him there, I was shocked. He looked terrible, stressed, tired, like he'd aged 5 years in 2. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said. I was professional but cold. "If this is business-related, you can schedule an appointment. If it's personal, I don't think we have anything to discuss. Please, just give me 10 minutes. I'll buy you coffee." Against my better judgment, I agreed. We went to a neutral cafe, and that's when he completely lost it. He told me leaving me was the biggest mistake of his life, that he'd never stopped loving me, that marrying Victoria was a mistake, and that he'd been miserable for years. He said he'd been following my success and was so proud of what I'd accomplished, and seeing how happy I looked in my photos was killing him. "I should have fought for us," he said, getting emotional. "I should have told my family to back off. You were always the one, Sarah. You still are." I sat there, completely stunned. Part of me, a very small part, felt vindicated. The girl who wasn't good enough for his family had built something incredible, while his perfect wife was making him miserable. But mostly, I just felt sad for him. "Marcus," I said quietly, "you made your choice. You chose your family's approval over our relationship. You chose someone you barely knew over someone who loved you unconditionally. And now you want to undo that because it didn't work out the way you planned?" He started crying, actually crying, in the middle of a coffee shop. "I know I messed up," he said. "I know I don't deserve another chance," he said. "But we were so good together, Sarah. We could be good again." "We were good together," I agreed. "But that person, the Sarah who would have done anything for you, who would have forgiven you anything, she doesn't exist anymore. You made sure of that when you walked away." I told him about David. About how truly happy I was, about how I'd built a life I loved without him. I watched his face crumble as I described what real partnership looked like, what it felt like to be with someone who chose me every day. That's when he got desperate. "He doesn't know you like I do," Marcus argued. "We have history, we have shared experiences, what we had was real." "What we had was real," I said, past tense. What I have now is also real. And it's better because it's built on respect and genuine partnership, not convenience and comfort. He left that conversation devastated. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. Over the past month, Marcus has been on a full-court press campaign to win me back. He sent flowers to my office. I donated them to a local nursing home. He's written long, emotional emails about how sorry he is and how he wants to make things right. I forward them straight to my spam folder. He's even reached out to my friends, asking them to put in a good word for him. The most ridiculous incident happened 2 weeks ago. David and I were having dinner at a nice restaurant downtown when Marcus showed up. He'd somehow found out where we were and just appeared at our table. "Sarah, I need to talk to you," he said, completely ignoring David. David, bless him, stayed calm but firm. "I think you need to leave," he said. "This doesn't concern you," Marcus snapped, exactly the wrong thing to say. I stood up. "Actually, it absolutely concerns him. David is my fiancé and you're disrupting our dinner. You need to leave, now." Marcus looked between us, and I could see him take in the ring on my finger for the first time. His face went white. "You're engaged?" he whispered. "Yes," I said evenly, "and we're very happy. Please respect that, and leave us alone." He stood there for another moment, looking completely lost, before the restaurant manager came over and escorted him out. David handled the whole thing with incredible grace, but I could tell he was bothered by Marcus's behavior that night. We had a long conversation about boundaries and next steps. The final straw came last week. Marcus called my business line and somehow got through to me directly. He was clearly drunk, rambling about how his marriage was falling apart, how Victoria had given him an ultimatum about joining his father's business, and how he couldn't stop thinking about me. "I see your face everywhere," he slurred. "In magazines, online, at events, you're so successful, so beautiful, so perfect. I threw away perfection. For what? For someone who doesn't even know me." "Marcus, you need to stop this," I said firmly. "You need to get help, and you need to leave me alone. I'm going to hang up now, and if you contact me again, I'll be forced to take legal action." "Legal action?" He laughed bitterly. "Against what? Loving you? Wanting you back?" "Against harassment," I said clearly. "This stops now." I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. We're now documenting everything in case we need to pursue a restraining order. But here's the part that really gets me. His family has now started reaching out too. His mother called me last week, all sweetness and light, asking how I was doing and mentioning how proud she was of my success. She casually brought up how Marcus and Victoria were going through a rough patch, and how Marcus had been talking about me a lot lately. His sister sent me a Facebook message saying she missed our relationship and hoped we could reconnect. She also mentioned that Marcus was really struggling and maybe could use a friend right now. Even his father, who had barely acknowledged my existence during our relationship, sent a LinkedIn connection request with a note about potentially doing business together. The audacity is breathtaking. These are the same people who actively worked to end my relationship with Marcus, who treated me like I wasn't good enough for their family. And now they want back in my life because I'm successful, because their golden boy is miserable, and their perfect daughter-in-law isn't working out. I've ignored or politely declined all their overtures. I'm not interested in being anyone's backup plan or consolation prize. David has been incredibly supportive through all of this. He's never asked me to stop talking about Marcus or made me feel like my past was a threat to our future. He just listens when I need to vent and reminds me how far I've come. "You know what the best revenge is?" he said to me the other night as we were planning our wedding. "It's not that Marcus is miserable in his marriage, it's that you're genuinely happy in yours. You didn't build this life to spite him. You built it because you're amazing. His regret is just a side effect." And he's absolutely right. My success isn't about Marcus. My happiness isn't about Marcus. The fact that both things are driving him crazy is just a bonus. I've learned so much about myself over these past 3 years. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, more capable than I believed, and worthy of love that doesn't come with conditions or caveats. I learned that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you can redirect you toward the best thing that happens to you. I also learned that you can't build a relationship on other people's expectations. Marcus and Victoria's marriage was doomed from the start because it was based on what looked good rather than what felt right. They're both trying to be people they're not, living up to standards that have nothing to do with their actual compatibility. Meanwhile, David and I are planning a wedding that's completely us. Small, sustainable, focused on celebrating our partnership rather than impressing anyone else. We're building a life based on shared values, mutual respect, and genuine love. It's everything I thought I had with Marcus, but real this time. I don't hate Marcus. I actually feel sorry for him. He's trapped in a life he chose for all the wrong reasons, and now he's realizing what he gave up. But that's not my problem to solve anymore. The funniest part? Victoria apparently found out about Marcus's attempts to contact me, and she's furious. According to mutual friends, she's convinced Marcus never got over me and is threatening to leave him if he doesn't get his act together. The irony is delicious. She's basically in the same position I was in, except she's the one he chose. Marcus has been radio silent for the past week, presumably dealing with the fallout at home. Part of me wonders if Victoria will follow through on her threats or if they'll find a way to make their marriage work. Honestly, I hope they do figure it out because everyone deserves to be happy, just not at my expense. As for me, I'm focused on the future. David and I are getting married in 6 months. My business is expanding internationally. I'm working on a book about sustainable entrepreneurship. Life is good, really genuinely good, in a way it never was with Marcus. The girl who wasn't good enough for his family is now too good for him. And the best part? I didn't change to spite him or to prove him wrong. I changed because I finally had the space and motivation to become who I was always meant to be. Sometimes the trash really does take itself out.